official business without our permission? I don't know about you, but when I vote for my representatives, I vote for them to advocate and to do what's best for me and we, the community, we, the people, not for what's best for their pockets. Hello, friend. Welcome to the Conservative Poet with me, Amania, or welcome back. Here on the channel, we talk everything politics. So if you're back, then you must enjoy the content, and I'm happy to have you back. And if you're here for the first time, welcome, and I'm happy that you are here. But both, do me a favor, hit that like, share, comment button because it really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. It tells YouTube that you enjoy the content. So participate in this democracy and like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I thank you very much. God bless you. Friend, in today's episode, I am having a conversation with my girlfriend, Julianna Ormond. We are chopping it up, chatting it up, and talking about the issues that we're seeing in our community. So I'm taking you on a whirlwind ride. We're just two girls having a chat. So before we get into the chat, I first have to offer you some patriotic candles to help you with your stress that I know you're under, because God knows I feel it too. Without further ado, the Orlando Patriot. Friends, the fight isn't over. Yes, we have the White House, the Senate, and the House, but friends, the Dems aren't gonna go quietly into the night. They're going to bitch, moan, whine, scream, and yell. And during that process, you need something to help you smooth and soothe your presence. So I present to you the OrlandoPatriot.com patriotic candles. We have them in 5 different scents where you can burn for freedom and burn to keep your sanity and not your insanity. OrlandoPatriot.com. Get 30% off your purchase price. God bless you. Oh, we're here.
Hey everybody, Julianna and Amania here. We wanted to come live to you guys.
Yes. Hello and welcome to the live. If you're catching it now or if you're going to catch it later on, we want to say welcome to Chatting with me, Amania.
And chopping it up with Julianna.
That's right. So we're just coming together, two ladies here in Central Florida, talking about the issues, talking about what we're seeing in the society, what we're seeing in our community. And we just want to come together to just put eyes on these things and share our voices in what we're seeing. That's really what we're doing. We're just chopping it up, two gals coming together to talk about some of these issues.
Well, I really want us as a whole, as communities, to come together and have these conversations, right? Because what we're going to be talking about is important to where we live. And we want other people to have voice to talk about what's going on in their community, because people are going, things are happening, but I'm not involved. Things are happening, but I didn't say that I wanted that to happen. Like, why is that going on? Why? Because we're not talking about what's going on in our community. So last week, week before, Amania was like, hey, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just start doing it. Let's just start having the conversations about what's happening in our own community, because we're very concerned, right?
Yes, I'm extremely concerned about some of the things that we're seeing right here locally in Central Florida, in our backyards. I mean, things is happening. Our city is changing drastically. There are things happening that the government is doing in our communities. They're not even letting us know. They're just implementing stuff. And next thing you know, we're dealing with things and we're just like, well, when did this happen? I didn't approve this. Why is this happening?
Exactly.
And so, and it's happening to us here. We're in a red state here in Florida. So
we're supposed to be.
We're supposed to be a red state here in Florida. But these things are happening here to us. So I can only imagine other states that's blue, that's already, have issues on top of issues. And, their leaders don't listen to them anyway. At least here we have leaders who are supposed to be listening. Supposed to be is the word. They're supposed to be listening, but yet things is happening that we, the people, have not signed up for.
So yesterday I got my hair done.
Oh, it looks good.
All right.
I gotta get mine done.
I'm sitting in the salon, right? I'm talking to my beautician, and she had another beautician in the salon. And I was talking to her about Vision Zero.
Oh.
And she's like, they're both like, what? What's Vision Zero? And I bet you most people, when I say the word Vision Zero, they have no idea what that means. So let me explain what that is.
Give it to me again. I need to really, really wrap my brain around what it is.
I'm going to give you a very high level of where it's going, this dystopian, universe that they're creating here, right, in Central Florida. So they're saying that they want to, they're dealing with the traffic and how, cars are going around and whatnot. That's their code word for, we want to control what's happening. So a couple of months ago, I'm sitting down with my commissioner, Jim Turney, and he said, yeah, eventually there'll be all driverless cars and there'll be no accidents. And so our insurance will be going down and whatnot. And I'm sitting here going, hold on a second. I didn't vote for this Vision Zero. I didn't vote for driverless cars. I didn't vote for, you want to take my vehicle away if you want me to live here. But if we're going to look long term, what does that really mean? It really means that you're going to have what's called CBDC, central banking digital currency. You'll have a credit card. It will be attached to a bank account, and you'll be able to go shopping where they say you can go shopping. You can buy what they say that you can buy. You'll have the amount that they say you can have in your account. If you don't use it by the end of the month, they could take it away from you. It's called digital currency.
You know what that reminds me of? Welfare or food stamps.
Worse,
right? Isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's even worse because, they can confine you to areas. This is what's happening in China, right? And there are people that are popping up going, I'm having a challenge with my bank account already here in Florida. These are like reports that we're starting to get, and people don't understand, like, the nickname for this Vision Zero, what it's leading to, is called an open air prison, an open air prison. So now you won't be able to travel where you want to be able to travel. You won't be able to spend your money where you want to be able to spend your money. Like, I don't think people understand how substantial and how significant the situation is and how dire and scary it is. Like, I had a conversation twice with the Altamont Springs city manager, Frank Martz. It was just my husband and I in the room, just privately. And, he said to me things like, DeSantis's people are working with my people, whether or not DeSantis knows that. And I know that Frank is working with people that are globalists. I know that. Let me give you an example. Uber was launched in our area, in Altamont Springs. Why Altamont Springs? Why here? Okay. So we're talking about like 9-10 years ago, it was launched here. You know why I know that? Because my daughter was one of the first people ever to be taking the Uber around, because my husband knew exactly what Uber was, because, he's Mr. Silicon Valley tech guy. So he understood exactly what was going on. But I'm sitting back going, at first I was like, oh, this is so lovely and convenient.
Right.
Convenient.
It's convenient.
But now I'm sitting here going, oh, hold on a second. They had this whole agenda. And the agenda was, well, if people adopt the Uber, then they'll adopt a driverless Uber coming to their house and picking them up where they will be allowed to go. That's how dystopian this is becoming. And I don't think most people they can't see it. So I'm sitting there in the salon yesterday, right? And they're all like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, no, you need to understand what's about to happen. Like, if we're not sounding the alarm, who's going to? So we went to the delegation thing the other day.
Yeah.
And they were,
no, you go.
I was going to say, somebody stepped up and was talking about Vision Zero, and we're sitting here going, okay, so now we know the government has adopted this Vision Zero. And you can look up where Vision Zero is, right?
Yeah. It was very surprising to hear that, because I hadn't heard the term Vision Zero I only heard it from you from conversations over the last couple of weeks. And then to be sitting there in the public square where in our government buildings, and one of the commissioners stand up to talk about, that, they're working on this thing and that they're getting ready to vote on this thing in our area. And as soon as I heard the word Vision Zero, it kind of connected to me what you were saying. And I'm just like, wow, so our government is, really doing this thing. And so it's just shameful because, again, they have meetings, public meetings, but yet the public is, yes, it's posted on their website. Yes, it's posted on wherever, but the public never really is there. Only the people who are ultra aware, aware is going to be the one to show up. And so the rest of the public doesn't show up. And then therefore they continue to do their business, whatever's on the agenda. And they pass these things and it becomes law. And then we, the people, are like, hold up, wait a minute.
But it's our fault.
What happened?
Right. But it's our fault. It's our fault because we're not coming to public square. Right. And there's a whole reason why we're having this conversation, because at this point, it's like we need to flood the zone and be able to say, you know what, if we're going to survive Amania and Julianna, we can't do it by ourselves. We can't fight back against the bureaucracy and what's happening around us. Unless we wake up everybody, we all show up and go, excuse me, y'all work for us. When did you start passing down these globalist agendas and start implementing them against us? Who said that I want to live in a city that I can't drive my own car in?
What's the point of having it? But that's their whole thing, is that, this last week I have been in fasting, right? And so I'm at church 3 times a day, and that's where I'm coming from. I'm there. Church is 6 a.m., noon, 7 p.m. And I'm back and forth on the highway, because I have to be on the highway to get back and forth. So I'm on the I-4 and then I'm on the 408. And all I can think about is when I'm going through these highways and I'm seeing the thing, traffic here, traffic there. And so, when we're looking at the whole traffic situation, it's we the people behind, we the human behind the vehicle that is, zooming in, zooming out. And that's how these accidents happen. We're fussing with our phones. We're not focused, and we're zooming in and zooming out. Boom, boom, boom. You got to get to where you're going. And so we're rushing. And these things cause accidents. And so as opposed to fixing those problems, they're saying, no, we need to remove cars off the road. We have to find a way to turn it into this 15-minute area and remove vehicles off the road. But it's we, the people, that's behind these vehicles. It's not the vehicle. It's like the same. It's like the gun.
Right.
And
it's like the gun.
It's like the gun thing. The guns aren't shooting people. Right. Guns. It's the person holding the gun that's shooting people. So it's the person, zooming around in traffic, not paying attention, doing a million different things behind the wheel that's causing the accidents. But yet they're going to punish we, the people, to create these zones where, you can't have vehicles. I mean, it's crazy.
So we're at the point now where we need to be telling the politicians what we expect to be happening. I keep saying that, Trump's in office right now, and he can either lean towards the globalists or he can lean towards us. Who's pulling at him, right? And it's funny because I keep listening to like Bannon and all these other people that are talking about what's happening, what's going to go on within the first 100 days of Trump being inaugurated, right? And like literally people are saying, like we saw Dr. Ladapo a couple of weeks ago, and they're going, we need you guys to talk to us and tell us what you want, right? If we, the people, are not talking to the politicians, they're going to go off and go do whatever they want to do.
Right.
Because right now, for example, right, the state doesn't represent us right now. The state is getting too much money from the federal government. So they're doing what the federal government wants them to do. Why? Because we're not showing up. Are we going to show up in Tallahassee next week and the week after? Are we showing up? What are we doing? What are we saying? How are we like strong arming them and saying, you represent us? Your job is to maintain our sovereignty. And right now, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
You know, the Vision Zero is not my sovereignty.
Wow. I think you're right in reference to showing up in Tallahassee. But what because I've made the trip to Tallahassee multiple times during session. So when you walk in the room, you know, they're just like, okay, so you're here. I'll give you your 2 minutes, your 5 minutes or whatever. Let's take a picture. And then they're going to move on. And because, you know, they know, okay, everybody's coming down with their buses and this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit there and listen and okay, sure. Yeah, we're going to, and then they do nothing. So I feel like it could be useless sometimes because they think, oh, you know, they can get away with it. They can do whatever it is that they want to do, as opposed to representing we the people. Yeah, we show up, you know, we go to their offices, but until we put, you know, we really gather up the masses and really shake things up, you know, just you and I showing up, you know, may not be great, but if we showed up with our camera, we showed up with you live, and we say you're going straight live, we're living you right now. We the people want to hear what you have to say.
That's right.
And you know, maybe those kinds of situations might, you know, help them think twice. And when, you know, when they start to deviate away from what we elected them to do, like when they, you know, what they were campaigning on, and we put those things out there and we said, you know, we're going to hold you accountable because this is what you said when you ran and we voted for you for this. So now you don't deviate away from that. And we can put the same thing too on Donald J. Trump. I am a Trump person. God, I'm just telling you, this is who I am. I love Donald Trump. I believe that he is going to put what's best for the country ahead. I believe that. But if I see him deviating away from things that is not good for the country, that is not America first, right, now I'm going to have a problem. I'm going to have to say that because I live by truth. And so I believed you when you say, this is what you're going to do. I believe it. And before he even comes into office, right now, we've got some bills that's making its way, that's happening. And so again, you know, men and women's sports, that's something that's working out right now in the Congress. So, you know, we voted for these things. We want normalcy again. And so, like I say, even though I am a huge Trump supporter, if I see that he is not doing the things that I voted for him to do, then I will be holding him accountable. I will be on here saying, you know, whatever it is that I need to say in reference to that.
So I would like to yes to everything that you just said, and just say that we the people need to be leading the conversation. Right? We need to be in unison and saying, okay, we don't want extreme this way, we don't want extreme that way, right? We want to go back to what is normal. So I'm looking at the younger generation. They're looking at us going, you guys screwed it up. You know, we're the girls and we want to be able to stay home with our babies, but we can't, right? That's no longer a career for us because, you know, my husband's not making enough money. You know, we, the Generation Xers, the Gen Xers, we now have to answer to what's going on in our society. And I'm sitting here going, when my son and his wife are making really good money, but they're saying we're struggling, I'm like, this is not right. No. You know, this is not right. When you look at the homelessness and everything that's happening, this is all by design. And if they can design it like this, they can design it in a way that everyone prospers. And I'm not a liberal at all. I am 100% a constitutionalist. Okay. If it's in my constitution and if it's in my Bible, it's true. Outside of that, I don't deviate from that. Okay. And our government is now so out of control, right, that we have a society that looks the way that it does. It doesn't need to be this way. No. This is crimes against humanity at this point. And you know what they're coming after? They're coming after the children.
Yes, yes.
You know?
Yes. The children are definitely you know, at stake. And you know, during prayer yesterday when I was at noon prayer, and because my church is also a school. And awesome. So, and the children are participating in the fast and everything like that. And so I ended up standing in the part where the younger little ones, like 6, 7 were there. And I was surrounded by little children, and they're praying and they're reaching out to God. And I'm telling, they're speaking in tongues. And I'm just like, holy God. And I thought, this is what school should be doing, should be looking like. They need to be teaching the children, because what's happened is that we have lost our morality, and we don't instill that in the children anymore. The children have lost their way because, again, they remove God out of school. They remove morality. They remove those commandments, those bylaws that we're supposed to go by in the society. Because if they're young and they are implementing these rules of life, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt, all of these things that you're supposed to do, and we instill that to them young. Well, when they grow up, guess what, Juliana? They're not out here shooting each other. They're not out here robbing each other. They're not out here doing these things, because why? We've implemented morality into them. And so when I'm surrounded by those children at church, and I say, man, there's goodness still to come, because this school is raising up young people to do better, but it's alone. We need all the schools, the government schools, all of them to implement this, because then we're raising a society full of good children to grow up to be good adults.
Exactly.
Right?
So in the 1950s and 60s, the communities were so beautiful because, your life was really centered around the church, right? Everything you did was around the church. You went to a dance, it was around the church. You hung out with your friends, it was around the church. You met your friends, they were at church. When we lost that, we lost the church being the center of the culture, and now look at us.
We're a failing mess. This society is failing, and it is just because of that. But it is by design. So I read a book not too long ago, and it was called, it's The Return of the Gods. And it made me understand, we talked about how we got here as a society. Get here. We woke up one day and we had Pride Month. We woke up one day and God and Jesus was taken out of the schools. We woke up one day and all of these things that brought to our detriment, the decay of we the people. Well, it wasn't just one day we woke up and all of this happened. It was by design. It was intentional. And they knew that to get this thing broken, they had to get into the schools. They had to infiltrate the schools to start to get to the children. And as the children grows up, they are decaying and decaying, and all of these bad things are being put into them. And so this is how we got here. This is how they were able to go in and tell these children that, you're a boy when you're a girl. They were able to break those normalcies that we know and turn things around. And now we've got children cutting off their body parts. We've got people going to the slaughterhouse and they're saying it's okay. And you're like, dude, this is insanity.
Okay. This is abuse. I mean, the politicians don't even want us to be talking about the word grooming. Right? Because we can't even talk about how we're grooming children. Nevertheless, all the other things that they're doing that legally they've been allowed to do, right? Why? Like how? The medical industry is like complicit in what's been going on here. When you look back, you just go, how did our society get to this point? When they took the father out of the home, and then took away the pride in being an American. You no longer was made in America, right? They offshored all of that and they took away that culture. And now this is what we've left with. But, we can take back our culture. I really believe that, we have enough voices that we come together and talk about what it is that we need to talk about and bring back the town square. You knew when I had the lab. That was the reason. So I had a business and community resource center, right? And I was right smack in the dab in the middle of the community in Paramore. People were walking past my location, even kids going back and forth to school. Like, but we would hold events there and have conversations there, have community conversations and go, this is what's going on. We would bring in the politicians and go, you need to talk to your constituents. Hey, teenagers, they work for you, right?
Yeah.
Don't be shy around them. Don't think that, you have to hide, but, they're your public servants. They're not royalty. They work for us. We pay for them. But yet the pyramid of, we the people, like it should be we the people instead of like them on top. No, you work for us. We give you the right to be able to do this by the consent of the governed.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're at the point where no, you don't have our consent.
No.
Because we know that their end game is they've already destroyed the family. They're coming after women's sports and all the stuff that they've been doing. They're coming after children. We're like on the top 1, 2, or 3 for human trafficking. The border is wide open. Do you think that we don't see what's going on? I think that we're so stupid. And that we don't have conversations and we're not, getting our hair done and going, do you see this crap that's going on? Do you know why this is going on? Do you think that we're not chit-chatting?
Yeah. And I think that's a good place to start, is that we're having those conversations in the beauty shop. We're in the nail shop. Well, not really in the nail shop. Just saying. Yes, it's a beauty shop. We're having those conversations. But this is about we, the people, coming together. And so if we're talking about these things, if we're putting light on this darkness that's happening, yes, they do think we're stupid. They think we're dumb. They think we're stupid, dumb. And therefore, we will accept anything that they put out here. The problem for us, and what I see is that they cause so much division between we the people and all of us, with all of these different groups and all of these different associations and all of these different, it's about this group, that group, this one. Everybody has their grievances and everybody's got issues. And yet we are divided, separated because of all of these issues, and they bank on it. They bank on it because they can go on as business as usual, watch us run around like chickens, screaming and yelling at each other about whatever grievances we've got going on with each other. And so they're busy doing whatever it is they got to do, moving their agenda. And the next thing you know, we're living in a vision zero area and didn't know anything about it coming to us.
Well, like take a moment and breathe, huh?
Yeah. Once you get me going, I'm gone.
Yeah, but I think people really need that kind of enthusiasm. They need to go, oh my gosh, this is really happening. Yeah, this is really happening. And if you're not as freaked out as you and I, if they're not as freaked out as we are right now, like, do you have a pulse? I mean, you're not worried about your grandkids. Do you not think that this is happening? Do you not see what they're doing with our currency? Like, is the writing not on the wall?
The writing is on the wall, but are we savvy enough to read it? And then once we read it, are we savvy enough to get out and do something about it?
So RC and I are market research people. You have a technology that does market research. And we started to realize that things that we were seeing, we need to start talking about. So we started our publications. And then Father was like, you need to be not just talking about and writing about what you're seeing, but you need to talk about how I feel biblically about what you're seeing, because you need to give voice to what it is that's right versus wrong. And then Father was like, okay, take it to the next level. And he was like, he had us develop what's called Watchman Action. What is Watchman Action? Watchman Action really is a workbook where we can now come into communities and say, let's get you guys organized. Because I always say that once upon a time, when Jesus was walking the planet, the government wasn't taking care of the people. It was the people taking care of the people. But we've been so disempowered right?
Yeah.
So if I came in with a workbook and said, if I bring in the right people, everybody has their strengths, everybody has different things that they want to do, right? But if we can organize in an efficient way, can we not start doing what we need to do for our community? Right?
Yeah.
If we want to put in a community garden, could we not just do that because we want to do that? Of course we can do that. Right? So Watchman in Action was really born so that you guys have a playbook, because they've got a playbook. They're doing what it is that what they want to do. The politicians, the Vision Zero. I don't agree. I don't agree. So now I've got my workbook and I've got people that are saying, now, how do we get organized? And what do we need to do next? And I'm encouraging everybody who is seeing this to start getting organized, start looking around and going, hey, you, hey, you, hey, you, hey, neighbor, ding dong. Hey, do you see what's going on? Hey, I would like to get organized because there's something that's really bothering me and I want to be able to do something about it. There's a tool out here for us to be able to now take control over what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Because we, the people, are more than capable of taking care of our neighborhood, our community. But it's going to take us standing up and going, okay, here are the tools. Here are the people with the tools who can teach me how to do. Here are the people that want to be able to help. We just need to get organized.
Organize. That is the simplest way to do it. And that's how it happened in our history. When we look at our history, that's how it happened. We didn't have computers. We didn't have all of these things. These things has actually separated us as a community, as a people, as neighbors. You know, we don't even talk to each other, you know, and that's what's wrong. We don't communicate with each other because we're too busy in our phones. We're too busy. And don't get me wrong, the idea of being able to do this live stream right now and talking to you, the people right now, it's great. Because we're able to connect with the world from this moment, like Julianna, you and I, we're connecting to the world right now.
Right.
So yes, these platforms is amazing, but without human contact, without the human touch of it, us one-on-one in our neighborhoods, in our community, and on the ground, you know, this is just us talking like that, you know?
Well, it's also about how are we using the technology? Is it being used for our benefit or is it being used against us? And right now, when people are not using technology the way that we are, so their voice is being heard, for example, right? That's so important to use technology to get that done. Well, guess what? The enemy is using it, and they're using propaganda, and they're flooding the zone, and they're talking about the things that they want other people to be talking about, not necessarily things that you want to be talking about. Things that are not important to you, right? They want to push an agenda that we, the majority, don't agree with. We're just not loud enough. They just have the megaphones. They've got the news people, right? They're all doing the talking for them. They've got all the actors or whatnot, all the politicians that are talking and telling us what we're supposed to be talking about, as if we're supposed to be parroting what it is that they're saying. Yes. I'm sorry. There's more of us that go, we're not parroting that stuff. You know, we're not believing what's going on here. We're not going to allow what's going on here. So enough of us need to be talking about what's going on. So that Trump hears us loud and clear. So that our politicians hears us loud and clear. And you do need to show up together, right? Because together they can't do anything. They're the minority.
Yes.
But if we tacit, meaning by not saying anything, we're giving them consent to do whatever they want to do. I'm sorry.
We're complicit in it.
We are complicit. We're complicit. If you're not doing something, by default, you're complicit, because life either goes forward or it goes backwards. It doesn't stay still. Right? So if you're not getting involved, you are complicit in what's happening. You don't get the voice to be able to say, you know, that you're upset about anything, because if you're not opening your mouth, if you're not doing something, if you're not getting involved, you don't have to be the person in the head. You don't need to be the person that's the, you know, spokesperson. Like, you don't need to be an Amania or a Julianna, but you need to get involved. There's so many different ways to be able to get involved. Even if you just instigate being able to say, I'm going to start saying, I've got enough neighbors that I would like to be able to get together because we want to do a neighborhood watch. We want to do a watchman action. So we want to be able to do this thing over here in our community because we want to take responsibility and we want to be involved. Go meet your neighbors. Fortunately, I've got two great neighbors right next to me. One, he and I cook for each other all the time. It's kind of funny, right? And the other one literally just said to me, hey, I need to know you because if anything happens, I need to know that I can knock on your door.
Right.
And I thought, you know what, that's really important. But yet I have so many other neighbors, like, I don't know who they are. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think if something ever happens, do they have somebody locally that can help them? Like, if they're, or are they solo?
Yeah. Yeah. We've, the neighborhood has been disconnected. And a lot of it, again, we're busy, our lives is busy, we've got a lot going on, but these are the people that surrounds us. We are a community. And so we need to stick together as community, because if it's happening to our community, it's happening to you and I. It's happening to the people next door. It's happening to us. And so if we don't come together as a community to stand for what's good for us, if whatever the issue is, if the water system in your community is no good, then we got to organize and come together to start to fix that.
If you have fluoride and you want to take fluoride out of your system, okay, we've got people that are pioneering how to be able to go to your government and go get that crap out. Okay, so you can get involved because we've got a system already taken care of.
Yes. So there's different arenas. Whatever is happening, it's not just happening to you. It's probably happening to multiple places around the country, and maybe even around the world. But we are now connected because of this computer, this system. And so, we could be neighbors across the world. But the thing is, organizing what local issues you have to start to bring solutions to those issues is the key, because again, as a community, we have to be able to, again, coming together, because when we come together and they see that, the people at the top, right? The politicians that we've put to represent us, the local leaders that's at, our commissioners, our mayors, these people who think they are, they are above and they can make decisions for us without our input. Once we check them and say, I don't think so, friend, you're not going to do this, because we, the people, are going to organize together and we're going to come for you, right? We're going to come for you. And we're going to have you do what we tell you to do when we elected you. And if you can't do that, then we're going to put you out.
That's it. We had one representative call us and was like, oh, the senior people told me that if I didn't toe the line that I wouldn't get a second, term. Oh, well, don't do it. You're supposed to be representing us, do exactly we elected you to be able to do when you got up there, right? So that way you could take some territory. And if you don't get a second term, hopefully we'll find the next person that we can put in there that will listen to us and do what it is that we want to have happen, right? This is not once upon a time when back in the 1700s, 1800s, like politicians hated having to serve. They hated it, but because they knew, like, they went up, they did what they needed to do for their constituents, and they had to go back home and live with whatever they created for their community. Nowadays, they go and they're making all this money. They get all these backdoor deals. They're finding out about all these things that can happen, where they're making all this extra money and stuff like that. So who are they representing? They're not representing the community.
No, they're not. And you're so right. I love watching Chanel Rion on OAN, and she recently did a conversation about just this very thing. She went back into our history and she pulled out when the Congress first started, what they were being paid. They were on a stipend for like $2 an hour or something, or whatever it was. And it wasn't until like the I forget, like 1900s or something, that salaries became a thing. And now you have these people get $174,000 is what they get, okay, to serve. And these people have been, if we want to take examples of people who has been serving, we've got Joe Biden, who was in office for 50 years. Okay. We've got people in office for 40 years, 30 years. I mean, it's bonkers. Because now it's a career, and they come in broke and they leave out millionaire. Last night on the radio, Dr. Issa White brought up the fact that AOC, who was waiting tables when she was recruited to run for office now is worth millions of dollars. Maxwell Frost, who was an Uber driver driving Uber, is now worth over $800,000 in less than what, 4 years, 3 years? Where did the money come from?
They're serving the money. They're not serving the people.
No, they're not serving we the people. And this is why they don't want term limits, right? This is why they don't want term limits. And there was a woman, I forget where she's at, but when she ran for office, it was like 30 years ago. And one of her things was, I'm going to be for term limits. I'm going to put bills in for term limits, and we're going to do term limits and so on. Yo, I got to find her name. She is 30 years in. What happened to you putting those bills up for term limits? She's 30 years in.
No term limits.
No term limits.
Nope.
They're not in it to do better for us, we the people. They're in there doing insider trading. They figured out how to work the markets. They got their ear on the stock market. Nancy Pelosi, hello. They got their ear on the stock market, and they are able to finance whatever, do backdoor deals, as you said, and come out billionaires. Some serving. They're serving.
They're supposed to be serving themselves is what
they're serving themselves.
They're serving
and this is why they're afraid of their constituents standing up. They don't want to ruffle any feathers anywhere. They just want to be calm and quiet. Let me get to this election, and then they go and they do whatever deals against we the people, and they deal with the lobbyists, and then they have to bow down to the that put them in, that put the money behind them, right? So now the PACs are saying, hey, I'm going to need you to do X, Y, and Z. I need you to not be voting yes on this bill. I need you to not do this. I need you to not do that. And they answer to the PACs and those people, and not we, the people.
And the unions.
Oh, God, can't forget the unions. We can't forget the unions.
So, I mean, Chris Ann Hall talks about being able to pull back the government, and how they're doing things that are out of their jurisdiction. And it's we the people that needs to bring to light the fact that they're out of bounds. I mean, they're so out of bounds. Mm-hmm. And then, what are we going to do to rein in this government? I love the fact when Trump was first in office and he talked about, if you want to do regulations or whatever, you have to kill. You have to do two. If you want to bring in one, you have to kill two or something like that. Start making the federal government smaller and smaller instead of giving our government over to the globalists.
Right.
So I'm just praying that I have I have a fear of what's going on in our government. Okay, yeah. So I'm not a gargantuan Trump supporter. I'm here going to say, I'm just going to pray that he's doing the right thing. He's got a lot of people in his ear that, I've been writing against, talking about things like Neuralink and, Peter Thiel and, JD Vance. And so I'm just very concerned about, who's pulling him where. Elon Musk gave about, $250 million towards Trump in 5 months to help. So of course he's going to have a seat at the table, but what does that mean for us? Mm-hmm. How does our voice get heard? And how does money now play like that where, the major voice that gets heard is based on money? What about the yous and the me's? What happened to our electoral college? What happened to us being represented the way that we should be represented? When did it come about that money is now what's really being represented and technology is being represented, but we the people are not being represented?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely hear you with President Trump and the people that's in his ear and the money and Elon Musk and, all of these things. I absolutely hear, and my prayer is that President Trump is his own man, and regardless of the monies and regardless of these people, that he is going according to what he knows and believes is right for all Americans, for we the Americas, that he is putting this thing forth. And I truly honestly believe that he is a person who was put here for such a time as this. I really, really do. And no matter where that's going, the globalist agenda and him pushing back on these people and all of this, I really believe that at his core, that he is looking to do the best for all of us here in this country. I really do.
So we're going to make sure he does that.
Yeah.
Right? That's what Watchman Action's about. Right? It's
Yeah.
about us organizing so that we can do what it is that we're capable of doing. And the first thing we are capable of doing is making sure that our elected officials, right, are doing what we want them to do, not going off in this tangent in a different direction. For example, I'm going to be pushing the grooming thing. I'm from Brooklyn. Okay, when I walked down the avenue, it was just a matter of how many times, a disgusting man would whisper in my ear, I'm a 12-year-old kid, and they're going, oh, hot mama and stuff like that. The record was 7 times. Can you imagine a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old walking down the avenue just wanting to go to the store to go buy some bubble gum, right? And these disgusting men just having these conversations. That's grooming. They don't want to talk about grooming because that's the stuff that they're doing. How many politicians would be busted or celebrities would be busted for the word called grooming, right? But no, we're going to push back on that. We're going to say, no, you're not allowed to do that. Another one is luring. Like, so a guy in a van could be luring a kid to his van, right? And it's only a misdemeanor. So if it's only a misdemeanor, they can't check his van to see if he's actually doing this to other children. Like, it's laws like that where we, the people, need to say, no. When the laws favor the criminals, when the border is open, and we know for a fact, we have lost hundreds of thousands of children across the border. We have no idea where they are. Where's the people of America talking about? I think the last I heard was like 800,000 children.
Yeah.
Some ridiculous amount
and
of
they've
children.
lost them.
They're
like
gone.
America has lost these children. Like, nobody knows what's happened to these children, where these children are.
So
they are lost.
If we're not saying something about what's going on with the kids, that's why in the beginning of the show I said, they're coming after the children. They're already after the children. They already have the children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do whatever they want to them, and then these children goes missing. Who knows if they're alive? Who knows what's happened to them? But our government is responsible, because at this point, these children coming in and they put them into this. People just show up and, oh, I'll take care of and they're given to these kids, and no records of where they are, what's happening to them, or anything. Like, this is the government. This is child trafficking at its core. Where's the children?
A criminal organization. They're a criminal organization. And it's an international criminal organization.
Yeah, it is an international thing.
People have taken videos where they heard people screaming inside containers that are coming off ships. Are we going to ignore the fact that people are, doing videos and going, here's the evidence. We're seeing this. The yous and the me's that are out there are witnessing this. Right? They don't want the general public to know what individuals are witnessing. No. For example, I saw human trafficking in the Catholic Church, right? I need to say that. And now the Monsignor and other priests within my church where I was raised, right? They all did the whole jail thing because they were all busted for it. But I saw that as a child. Like, we need to be calling these things out, because if the yous and the me's aren't saying, hey, there's like this institutional gang that's happening. And this is the criminal ring, and this is how they're operating. If we're not warning each other about what's going on, we can't protect each other from what's going on. Father already told us that evil will always exist, but it's our responsibility to stand up and say, no, evil, you stay here and at bay. Yeah. And especially being the barrier between them and the children. Okay, that's our responsibility. Yeah. And that's my why. That's the reason why I'm sitting here, because you're not going to continue doing to our society and to our children. Because if it was bad back then, okay, we're talking about, I'm 53. So, talking about like 40 years ago, if I saw that 40 years ago, and now we're, doing the whole transitional thing with these children, I'm sorry.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah. And it's not going to get better. Right.
Yeah, it's gotten worse, and that's a shame on us, and that's a shame on the church, because it's gotten worse. And I just don't have any words. Like sometimes I'm so ashamed of the church that I can't even stomach it. When I look at the church, especially when I look at the church in our communities, in these arenas here, and I see the failure of the church, and one of my whys is abortion. And so when I see a church promoting politicians who and they're in the sanctuary of the church, they are hosting politicians who's out and they're advocating for it in the church. They're literally saying they want to kill babies in the womb, and they're standing in the pulpit, and they're standing in the sacredness of the church inside of God's house, and they're doing this. Yo, that really boils me. That is like, I'm ready to like burn, because I'm just like, how dare you? You are supposed to be the shepherd leading people, and you're in this church telling people that it's okay for them to kill their seed, that it's okay for them to kill their babies, that it's okay. You're a failure. You're a disgrace. Anyway, you go.
You know, sometimes you just need to have that conversation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Second to that, definitely does not hit as close to that, what you just said, but it's the Republican Party. You know, they changed their stance. They're now pro-choice. They're not pro-life anymore. Okay. And it's funny because I got into an argument with somebody who's very well known here in Orlando. And he was like, you know, Trump could do no wrong. And he is like, no, I think behind closed doors, Trump really is pro-life. And I said, no, he's not. And I know he's not, because Trump is a New Yorker like I am. So I understand Trump, right? Because I mean, he's a New Yorker through and through, right? So in New York, we were told, it was just ingrained in us, right, that you can have an abortion through the first trimester, and it was okay, and Father will forgive you, right? It's the second and third trimester, you're not allowed to have an abortion. And that's Trump's stance, you know, and I know that's how he feels, because that's how, like, basically all New Yorkers feel. I had to get over that, right? Once I realized, wait a minute, hold on a second. It's a life is a life is a life, right? And you can't kill it in the first trimester and think that God doesn't see. Like, and I was like, oh, I have to be pro-life. Like, my cultural thinking had me in I go to church, but you know what, I'm okay with, you know, abortion in the first trimester. And I finally had to check myself, and I was like, wait a second.
It's still a life.
Yeah, I can't do that. That's why now I sit here and I look at all the people that go, I go to church, but I vote because I'm pro-choice. And I'm just like, how can you go to church and be pro-choice at the same time?
Yeah, it's a very confusing thing, because when you're looking at these people, so, you know, there's a thing out there that we the blacks are
Here we go. Hold on a second.
we the Negro are relatively, you know, Democrats. And when you look at the policies of what the Democrat Party stands for, and you say, again, we the blacks, we're Christian, we're with Jesus, we're with God, and then we are Democrats, which is ungodly, and does things against the church, against God. And you're like, I'm Christian, I'm with God, but I'm Democrat. And so how does that work? Because if you're Christian and you're with God, then you're going to say, well, thou shalt not kill. So how do you vote Democrat when Democrats say thou shalt kill? You know, like, how does that work when you're a Christian and you're a Democrat? So I could never understand that, and I could never be a Democrat. I confess I am a Republican, because that's closer to my values. You know, that's where I'm at. But both parties are a detriment to the community. They both are. You know, because you're a Republican, you believe, okay, you know, the first 6 weeks, I'm okay with that. Like we are here in the great state of Florida. for 6 weeks, we have a ban. But just this morning, I drove by the abortion clinic where the cars are there ready to kill babies. You know, does not life not happen during the 6 weeks? You were 6 weeks once. I was 6 weeks once. You guys in there were 6 weeks once. Were we not human at that point? Were we not human? I was human. You were human.
We were human. You don't become something else. So we have a friend, Beverly Beatties, I think her last name is. We interviewed her. She was a staunch pro-life Black activist, and I just love her. And now she's in jail, I think, for 4 months. The charges against her were just ridiculous. But they try to get her for all these aggravated X, Y, and Z. But all she was doing was saying, I'm pro-life. I'm against BLM. Okay. I'm with the Republican Party because at the time they were, pro-life. But she was like, I'm with the Republican Party because they're pro-life. Like, I can't be a Democrat. I can't, like, how is it that, listen, I was called a racist. Ready for this one? I was called a racist because I said that more Black babies are aborted in New York City than born. And I was called a racist. And I thought, I'm trying to save your race and saying, I don't like the fact that abortions are happening in New York City because there's more babies that are being killed than are being born. And that makes me a racist. Like,
I don't know how that works.
I don't either. And how is it that you like the Black people came against me because I'm white and I'm defending you? Like, one of the reasons why I had challenges at the lab was because the local politicians, all the Democrats, they didn't see a Julianna coming. They didn't see a white conservative Republican woman coming in and serving the community the way that I did. I didn't fall into the stereotype of what they wanted me to be able to go, oh, we're going to bow down to you. And I was like, because of my skin color. Mm-hmm. And because I was a minority in my location. And I was like, but I'm from Brooklyn. I said to a woman one day, I'm like, I don't see color. And she was like, that's the most offensive thing. What do you mean you don't see color? I'm like, I'm from Brooklyn. Okay. There was every shade. I was not it was like, mm-hmm. And I don't understand why we are so divided on such a ridiculous level.
Yeah. You're right. The division is insanity. And again, they find things to just separate us.
The greatest meme I've ever seen is a white hand and a Black hand coming together, right? And they're holding each other. Like,
oh, that should be our thumbnail. Look at that. That's right. That's position. That's gonna be our thumbnail. Black and white together.
Because that's what they're scared of. They're scared of the fact that we're just going to unify. I mean, they can't keep us divided, and they want to keep us divided as to whether or not we should be killing children, whether or not we should be changing the sex organs of children. Like, they want to keep us divided on these things. And it's like, you know what? My Bible's over there. Otherwise, I'd grab my Bible. But like Father says, like, there are certain things that we should not be divided on.
Yeah, we shouldn't be.
We shouldn't be.
Right and wrong. There's right and there's wrong.
But yeah, because we've walked away from, like you said, the church and what the church hasn't done and whatnot, how we've watched it down, how we're not the pinnacles of what, the church is supposed to be. Now we've got what we're looking at, but there's some basic stuff that I'm sitting here going, why are we arguing over this? Father already said you're not supposed to steal. He already said you're not supposed to murder. He already said you're not supposed to covet. He already said,
Yeah.
He said it.
Yeah. And I love how you say Father. So yes, he has said these things. We've been given a manual, and then they gave us bullet points, those commandments. These are some core things that thou shalt not do. But yet, it appears to me that the society, the things that God has says thou shalt not do, has been turned around that thou shalt do. So when you look at, thou shalt not kill, and they says, oh no, abortion is okay. It's my body, my choice. It's bodily autonomy. What does God have to know about these things? Stay out of my business because it's my body, my choice. And society says it's okay. And when Roe v. Wade was overturned, and when we looked at what happened in the society where these judges, these people came for the judges. These people came for these people because they tried to right a 50-year wrong. And even reverting it back to the states, I mean, it's not perfect, but we're working our way through it. But again, God said, thou shalt not kill. But society said, we shall kill. And they made it okay for you to kill your own seed. And in the Black community, 50% of the Black deaths happen in the mother's womb. But nobody wants to acknowledge that. Nobody wants to speak that out loud. Nobody wants to say. And what sickens me more than anything is when they out here, Black Lives Matter. And I say to them, how in the world does Black Lives matter when 50% of the death happens in Black hands in the womb? And we're not even talking about the Black deaths that happen across the cities all over this place. Just in the womb, just in the belly of the mama. And then they tell you it's my body, my choice. All right.
So as we're coming up on an hour.
Oh gosh, we've been talking for an hour.
Well, I think that we both needed to go, here's a baseline. Here's what we're thinking. Here's what we're feeling. Here's what's been bothering us. Let's just say, just regurgitated, just vomit everywhere and just be like, we're just two normal people who have the conversations about stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we're not the only ones that are having the conversations. Yeah. And we'd like for other people to join the conversation.
Yes. Yes. We want you to join by commenting. That is great. Comment, share your thoughts and your feelings, share with us how you're liking the conversation, and share with us these things, because that's going to encourage us to continue to have this talk. And, maybe we'll take one subject at a time and really dissect that and, really present and, maybe throw in some videos and some historic clips or anything just to implement these things in the conversation so that we can continue what we're doing here, because it is critically important to have these talks, to share what's in our hearts, to share what's happening in our communities, to share what we're seeing, and to share what we're seeing in the society as a whole, because this is it. We're seeing so many things just in this new year. Look at, when the clock struck midnight, we had some crazy person running people over in New Orleans. Like, this is where we started. We've got, so much happening. There's so much going on.
Are we having the right conversations? That's what's important. We need to be having the right conversations. So I'm going to say we're going to sign off. I'm Julianna with Watchman Action, and you are?
I'm Amania Salas with The Conservative Poet here on YouTube.
So we love you guys, and join the conversation. Okay. Let's flood the zone and start talking about things that are really important.
Yes. So please like and share the conversation with whomever you think might enjoy it. It's just about an hour. And, it's a great time to, again, organize your community and share our voices, because we want to really be, we're here doing God's work, is what I like to say. And that's what I do on The Conservative Poet. You can check me out there on that channel. We have our socials. We're on X. We're on Facebook, and we're on the ground in the community. So we may even bring you clips every now and then of us doing the work of what it takes. So, because we want to share these things, again, to organize us.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're going to say
bye, y'all.
Bye for now. Thank you very much. And 5 of you in the chat, God bless you. God keep you. And we'll see you next Friday. We're going to be doing this on Fridays.
Yes.
Fridays at 2:00 is what we're looking, 1:00. Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But we've decided on a Friday midday.
There you go.
Right?
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. God bless and keep. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to end this. Let's do our thumbnail, the black and white.